It is something that I find very interesting, that each and every culture in the world, each and every civilization has these notions, myths, superstitions of entities that exist beyond the human world. This is universal. No civilization, primitive or modern, advanced or in the jungle, doesn't matter, exists, except that they believe in something beyond this physical world. And they have different names for them. In English we have the demons and the ghosts and whatnot. And in every culture and civilization, I just came from Norway, and they have, this thing that comes out of the woods and they will take you and this and that. But now we call them in English trolls or goblins. But the notion is there, that there's something that lives in beyond. And they're very scary and they're harmful. And there's something you cannot control, but they control you. And it is interesting, you go to the native Indians, they believe this. You go to the Aborigines, they believe this. You go to, even in this day and age, we're living in the 21st century America. Look at Hollywood and how many movies are dedicated to the supernatural, the possessions, to, The Exorcist and its, genre. All of this to this day. And this is, we are supposed to be the pinnacle of civilization. But this notion of some entities or some realities living in worlds that are simultaneous to us but yet not quite our world, right? This is something that is ingrained in all of humanity. From our perspective, of course, this shows us that the reason why all cultures agree is because it is real, right? From our perspective, we say the reason why each and every civilization believes in spiritual entities, and they are generally speaking spiritual entities, ghosts or demons or ghouls or whatnot, they believe in them because they are real and these societies experience them. These societies experience them. And there was I don't know if it's still ongoing or not, there's a number of series on the sci-fi channels and other learning networks and whatnot, in which allegedly they interview live people, about what has happened to them. The haunting of such and such. And the reality is, now these are educated people, you listen to them, many of them say, I never believed in this stuff. I was raised as a very, modern, very educated person. I never believed this could happen. But then what are you going to do when, XYZ begins to happen, right? And from our perspective, we look at all of this, we read all of this, and it fits in perfectly with our worldview. And in all honesty, for the believer, for the mu'min, all of these stories of the other nationalities and other groups should actually increase his or her iman. That in reality, this is a sign of our iman, of our religion being true. One of the signs of our religion being true, it explains even the supernatural and the paranormal. It explains in complete logic and rationality. When you study the characteristics of the jinn, and you see what is happening in other societies and even in our society, everything is explained. So I find this to be very fascinating and interesting. And also, before we begin, we're still in the introduction, realize this is a part 1. There will be at some unspecified time in the future a part 2, which will be definitely more technical and perhaps, I don't want to use that term, perhaps maturity would be more, discretion is definitely going to be applied there, and it will talk about, part 2 will talk about black magic and possession and what, that's going to be part 2. So part 1 is really not about that type of stuff. Part 1 is we're just talking about the reality of the jinn in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. Now what exactly does the term jinn mean? Where does it come from? The Arabic word jinn comes from a root that implies something that is concealed from the eyes, something that is hidden. And so there are so many words in the Arabic language from this root, all of which imply hiding. For example, a shield in Arabic is called mijan, because you're hiding yourself behind the shield. An embryo, what is an embryo called in Arabic? Janeen. The embryo is called a janeen because it is hidden in the womb of the mother. The verb jannah without the ta marbuta, just the verb jim noon with the shadda, jannah. The verb jannah without the ta marbuta, not the noun jannah, but the verb jannah, means the spreading of the night, the enveloping of the night so that you can't see anything. In the Quran, Allah says about Ibrahim, فَلَمَّا جَنَّ عَلَيْهِ اللَّيْلُ رَأَى كَوْكَبًا. When the night Jannah, he saw the stars. The meaning of Jannah here means the darkness enveloped it. He couldn't see anything. And that is why also Jannah, the noun, is a garden that is enclosed with a wall. You can't see inside it. So Jannah with a noun, the garden that has been enclosed by a wall, therefore you cannot see inside it. And madness in Arabic is jinnah with a kasra. Am yaquluna bihi jinnah. Do they say our Prophet ﷺ has jinnah in him? And jinnah is madness. And from jinnah we get majnoon. So a person is mad because his intellect seemingly disappears. Because the meaning of Jannah always is hidden. So Majnoon, the one whose intellect or whose rationality does not exist, or at least you don't see it, it's disappeared. And this is, all of these terms come from the same root, and that is to hide or to be hidden. And that is why the term Jinn is also applied to this entity, because it is an entity that is completely hidden from the eyes of men. We do not see them. They are in a world that is beyond our physical world that we inhabit. And Allah Azza wa Jal mentions Jinn in the Quran, and our Prophet ﷺ talks a little bit about the Jinn. We don't have that many ahadith about the Jinn, and therefore the fact of the matter is we have to take what we can from the Quran and Sunnah. That's going to take it as a fact. The rest is folklore and legend, and we don't base our religion on folklore and legend. But there's no harm in narrating certain things that we think we know about the Jinn. There's no harm in narrating things that we believe we know about the Jinn. And I will always differentiate between what is Quran and Sunnah and what is folklore or things that we might assume in our times. That we have to be very clear here. If Allah says it, end of story. We take it as fact. However, if it's something we discover upon ourselves or seems to be a reality, then we will say this is a theory, this is a possibility, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So, what does Allah tell us about the Jinn? What does our Prophet tell us about the Jinn? Of the things we know about the Jinn is that they were created before men. The Quran is very explicit. The Quran is very explicit that before we existed, the Jinn existed. Before Allah created Adam, He had created the Jinn. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ مِنْ حَمَإٍ مَسْنُونٍ. We created man from a type of hard clay, rock that had become rock solid, that you could knock on it and it would reverberate. وَالْجَانَّ خَلَقْنَاهُ مِنْ قَبْلُ مِنْ نَارِ السَّمُومِ. And the Jan, the plural of Jinn is Jan. And the Jan we had created before that from, now memorize the Arabic, nar as-samum. So a nar, that is samum. What is samum? We'll come to it. So this is one adjective that Allah says. We created jinn from a nar, from a fire that is samum. Also the Quran mentions that Allah Azza wa Jal created jinn from min marijin min nar. From marij of nar. So samum and marij. Keep these adjectives, we'll come back to it. So Allah says that we created the jinn min marijin min nar. And Allah says we created jinn from nar is samum. These are the two main adjectives given. Of course, nar is in both, and sometimes Allah says we created jinn from nar. Sometimes He says from nar is samum. Sometimes He says from marijim min nar. Surah Al-Rahman, that khalaq al-janna min marijim min nar. We created jinn from marij of nar. So these are really the main descriptions. Our Prophet ﷺ, exact same phrase in Sahih Muslim. Our Prophet ﷺ said, خُلِقَتِ الْمَلَائِكَةُ مِن نُور. The angels have been created from nur. وَخُلِقَتِ الْجَانِ مِن مَارِجٍ مِن نَار. And the jinn have been created from marij of fire. وَخُلِقَتِ الْإِنسان, or خُلِقَ Adam, مِمَّا وُصِفَ لَكُمْ. And Adam has been created in a manner that has been clearly described for you, because the description of the creation of Adam is far more explicit than the description of the creation of the jinn. We don't have how the jinn were created. We simply have what they were created from. And of course, of the evidences that the jinn were created from fire is the well-known incident of Iblis and Adam. What did Iblis say? أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهُ خَلَقَتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقَتَهُ مِن طين. And scholars point out the first racist was Iblis. The first racist was Iblis, because Iblis was the one who thought, I am better because of where I come from. I am better because of what I have been used to be created by. right? So he thought he's better simply because he's created from nar. But the point is, we don't want to go into that tangent. The point is, Iblis very clearly says, خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَار. You created me from nar, وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِين, and you created him from طين. So what does marij mean and what does samum mean? These are the two main adjectives that occur in the Quran about the creation. As for marij, marij means to merge or to combine. مرج البحرين يلتقيان. The two oceans are interweaving and mixing. Maraja. So maraja means to mix and to weave together, to flow out and to weave as you go forward. So marijin min nar, from a mixture of fires, from different types of fires. And Ibn Abbas commented that the marij of the nar is the corner of the flames, that you have all the different colors, the red and the green and the blue and the orange and the yellow. And if you look at the fire or the flame, right, if you have a very large fire, this you cannot see on a match, you can see it on a larger fire. If you have a large fire, the periphery of the fire, it has all of these bizarre colors, very interesting colors. Ibn Abbas said that is what they were created from, the marij, the very ending of the fire. As for the word samum, samum has been understood in two different ways. One meaning is that samum is a smokeless fire. It is a fire that is raw heat without any dukhan, without any smoke. And that is valid because the jinn don't have smoke. They are created from a fire that doesn't have we don't see the smoke, we don't see the ashes coming down, right? So the jinn have been created from a smokeless fire. Nar is samum. This is one interpretation. And another interpretation, Ibn Abbas said, samum is the light of the lightning. This is a different type of light, not the light of the match. This is the light of the lightning. And in reality, this is the same as the first meaning, because the lightning, does it have smoke? No, it doesn't have smoke, right? And so the light of lightning is a smokeless light, right? Now, this is now Quran here. I'm going to add my own theory, take it or leave it. And this is not a fact, this is my theory, my understanding of my own understanding of the Quran and Sunnah and my own interactions with this species. In my humble opinion, it is as if the jinn have been created from what we call energy, what physicists call energy. They are on the energy spectrum. And this demonstrates when non-Muslim ghost hunters, if you see the documentaries or TLC channel or whatever, right? When they go to a house and they want to see are there any haunted spirits, what do? And these are people that have never studied the Quran and Sunnah. They don't believe in the Quran and Sunnah. But experience has taught them that you can detect on the electromagnetic scale, you can detect on these, they have their counters that have energy readings in them, right? And also, other things prove this as well. And if you look at the characteristics of the Quran and Sunnah of the jinn, these are the characteristics of energy. Going at the speed of light, not having a particular form, right? Being able to do, going through walls, as we will talk about in a while. This is energy. Our radio waves right now, our internet, our phone waves, they're coming through the walls here. There's a type of energy on the spectrum. And therefore, if you look at marijim min nar, nar is samum, what exactly is lightning? It's a type of energy. Right? So Allah knows best. This is my interpretation.